Hello, and welcome to Reset Your Relationship with Your Phone. I'm Craig Steele, and I love helping people learn new digital skills. So, I run short courses that cover everything from computer basics to more advanced topics, things like cybersecurity, working with data, and artificial intelligence. But what interests me most is how we can make learning digital skills fun and social experience. With us today, it's Daniel. Hi, Daniel, how are you?
Hi, Greg. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I hope you are as well. My background is in engineering, but like Craig, I am really into technology. I use technology every day, all the time, and I'm always looking for ways in which I can improve my relationship with that tech. And the tech we're going to focus on today is our phones.
We know that nowadays technology has become increasingly important in our day-to-day lives, both in work and in our personal lives. But sometimes our relationship with technology isn't always great. Have you ever heard your phone ping and found yourself feeling annoyed or anxious before you've even looked at the screen? Or maybe you've got physical symptoms of using technology too much, maybe feeling tired, or you've got strained eyes or a sore head. I know I get that quite a lot. Or maybe you're just aware that you spend too long endlessly scrolling and you regret the time that you spend using your phone.
Well, what we're not going to do in this workshop is tell you to stop using your phone, because we know that our phones can be helpful, useful, and our phones can have a positive impact on our lives. But sometimes we do need to strike that balance that feels right. There's been some research done, and that research shows that it takes around 2 months to form a new habit, 66 days. And once you've formed a new habit, every time you repeat it, you are strengthening that habit. Think about how long you've had your phone for. How long have you had a smartphone? 5 years? 10 years? Maybe more than that?
More than that, more than that, Daniel, probably.
Well, some of the negative habits that we've got and built up are going to be really sticky, really difficult to shift. But we can do something about it. What we're going to do in this session is we're going to give you some suggestions of ways that you can look at disrupting those habits. So we've got some techniques, some suggestions that we've gathered together. Some of them have been recommended by people who have been on this course previously. And you can think of them like experiments. We're just trying them out, seeing what works for us. Not everything is going to work for everyone, and that's okay. Just like forming a habit, changing a habit is going to take time, patience, and a bit of persistence. But on this course, we are taking the first steps. We're going to look at different ways that we can improve our relationships with technology.
We're going to focus on the phones, Daniel, that most people use. So we're talking about iOS. And when we talk about iOS, we mean iPhones and iPads. And whenever we talk about Android phones, we're meaning these sort of ones here: Samsung, Pixel, Nokia, OnePlus. We're not going to recommend that you download lots of new apps. Instead, we're going to focus on some of the tools and features that are already built into your phone. We're not suggesting that you try everything that we talk about. The idea is that you can pick and choose what works for you, and it might just be that you take one thing and you try that out.
Yeah, so here's the plan for the session. We are first going to take a look at our existing habits, see how we feel about them. What we're then going to do, once we've got a better understanding of our habits, is we're going to talk about notifications, how we can try and tame those notifications and cut out some of our usage of those time-draining apps. And lastly, we're going to spend a bit of time talking about how we can keep our phones safe against cyber criminals.
So, Daniel, Google has been doing some research into the way that people use technology and how it affects their health and their well-being. So this is our first question for the session. How wired are you? What we're going to do, Daniel, is we're going to use those same research questions that people used from Google, and we're going to go through those same questions and get ourselves thinking about our own relationships with technology. So you're going to need a pen and a bit of paper to do this. I've got a little notepad here. Let me just grab a pen. Okay, I'm going to play along as well. So if you're watching this video, you're going to answer these questions. You're going to take a note of your score for each question. And then you can post a comment in the chat telling us what your score is at the end. So Daniel, are you ready to go through these questions with me?
I am, yes.
So the first one is, I tend to lose track of time when I'm on my phone. Do you say never, rarely, sometimes, or often? Give yourself a point, a score for that. Next question. I feel the need to check my phone right away if it vibrates or makes a sound. Is that never, rarely, sometimes, or often?
Do you find yourself getting distracted by your phone when you're with friends or family? Give yourself a score from 0 to 3. And our next one, would you say that you spend more time on social media than you'd like?
I think that's true sometimes, isn't it? Like, it depends how I'm feeling that day. I think the point is that your score might change depending on when you're doing this quiz.
My score definitely changes every time I do it.
I'll stay on my phone instead of going to sleep when I intend to. Is that never, rarely, sometimes, or often? I think for me at the moment, that's definitely often.
That's probably a rarely for me, I would say. I've already done my scrolling by the time I go to bed.
I feel like I'm missing something important at work if I don't check my phone.
Okay, it's a few more to go. I check my phone before getting up out of bed in the morning. Now, I'm a lot better going to bed than I am getting up in the morning. I think that one's a 3 for me.
I think it's a 3 for me as well. And it's one of those things that I know is so easy to solve. Just not having my phone near my bed would make a big difference. And one of
Mhm.
the people who came on this course, he said just by plugging in his phone at the other side of the bedroom, that's what made a big difference. And really, I should do that. That's a simple change that I could make.
Okay, your next question. If I have a question, I reach for my phone for an immediate answer. Is that never, rarely, sometimes, or often?
I feel overwhelmed by the amount of unread emails I have. Never, rarely, sometimes, or often. Last one. I feel anxious when I'm away from my phone. Never, rarely, sometimes, or often. Okay, let's add up your scores.
Yeah, so once you've got your total, we're going to classify you as one of 3 things. If you've scored below 10 points, we're going to say that you are a digital Zen. You're clearly doing something right. If you have scored between 10 and 20, well, we're going to call that a yellow warning. And if you've scored above 20, then that is the red warning area. Now, the point of this isn't to shame you. It's not to say that you should use your phone less or you shouldn't do any of these things. However, it's useful to spend the time thinking about it. Craig, what category were you today?
Today I'm 19, so I'm right on
Today
that
you're 19.
borderline.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I've done worse than normal, or
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
worse than
you're
the last
higher up.
couple of times. I'm higher up. I was quite comfortably in the yellow zone the last few times, but I've scored 20 this time.
Yeah, and I think it shows you that, like, this is the type of thing that will change over time. It's not always going to be the same when you do it. And it's that first step. It's just about observing what our current habits are as well. Now, we're talking about digital well-being.
Yeah, so our phones, the apps, the websites we use, all of them have some kind of impact on our physical, our mental, and our emotional health. And that's what we mean by digital well-being. It's that effect that these things have on us. And just like other kinds of well-being, they can have positive effects, they can have negative effects, and it's also probably going to change over time too. But first of all, it's important that we observe our current habits, see how we're getting on. So first of all, what we're going to do is we are going to look at the apps that we use most often. Having a more detailed understanding of your tech habits is the first step in taking control of your digital well-being. Now, the good news is our phones actually have features built into them that allow us to view the way that we use them. We can see how often we pick them up. We can see what apps we use the most frequently, and we can see how long we spend with our phones in our hands. So if you have an iPhone, there is a feature called Screen Time built in. And Screen Time is built by Apple and it's part of your phone's operating system. So that means you don't need to download anything. It's already built in and ready for you to use. And what Screen Time does is it lets you see the amount of time you spend on different apps, websites, and more. And you can see how much time you spend per day, or you can see it averaged out. over a week. There's something very similar on Android. It's called digital wellbeing, and it works in a very similar way.
Here's how you find it on an iPhone.
On iOS, to see your screen time, you want to click on Settings, and then scroll down to Screen Time. Here you'll see your daily screen time across all your devices, and if you press on All Activity, you'll see it for this week alone. And now if you scroll down, you'll see your most used apps and the time you spent on them. You can see my most used app here is Firefox. And if you keep scrolling, you'll see the amount of times you've picked up your phone over that week, and the app you use first when you pick it up. And if you keep scrolling, you'll see your notifications and the amount of notifications you get per day and what notifications you get most often. And now scrolling back to the top, if you press day, this will show you your screen time for that day only. So this will show you the last 24 hours, showing the most apps you've used in the last 24 hours, and again the pickups of the last 24 hours. And again, finally, you can see what notifications you have received.
So, to find screen time on your phone, you go to Settings, then Screen Time, and see all app and website activity.
If you've got an Android phone, so maybe like a Samsung or a OnePlus, an HTC, a Nokia, a Motorola, there'll be a feature built into that called digital wellbeing. And to get into digital wellbeing, it might just be in your app tray, or you might have to go into your settings first, but you'll find it under digital wellbeing. Once you're in digital wellbeing, there's a big pie chart at the top. If you tap that, that's going to let you see your app usage. Here's a video showing you how it works.
Okay, here's how you can look at your screen time on Android. It's in a folder called Digital Wellbeing. So on my phone, I've got an app called Digital Wellbeing, and I can see it in my app tray. So if I tap on Digital Wellbeing, I can then see my dashboard. So I can see the different apps I spent time on today, the number of unlocks I've had, and the number of notifications I've had. And if I tap on that pie chart in the middle, it then takes me to this view. This is my dashboard. At the top, you can see the amount of time that you've spent on your phone on that day. And then further down, you can see the different apps that you've looked at. So I can see Twitter was my most used app on the 6th of September, then TikTok, Chrome, Reddit, and Instagram. You can also change this drop down to things like notifications. So you can see, okay, which apps are sending me the most notifications? Or when I unlocked my phone, what app did I open first? Why did I unlock my phone? Well, I can see I mostly unlocked my phone and I went straight to Twitter. And that's it.
So here's the instructions for how you can find it on your phone. Pause the video here and take a minute now just to see what your screen time looks like. What are the apps that you've been using most frequently? Are you surprised by some of the results? How many times have you picked it up each day? To give you a sort of baseline, let me just read you one of mine to give you an idea of how you might be getting on. So last week, I've spent on average about 4 hours and 40 minutes on my phone. So see how that compares to yours as well. See if you're higher than mine or lower than mine. And my top most used apps last week were X, Instagram, and Safari. So social media and surfing was my most popular apps last week.
Looking at mine, I can see that it was YouTube was the top, and then it was Twitter, and then Instagram for me. So tell us in the comment, how did your screen time compare with what you expected? Was it higher than you expected? Was it about what you expected? Or were you actually finding that you use your phone less than you thought you did?
Sometimes we're already scrolling through our screens before we've even realised that we've picked up our phone. It is really difficult to break that habit. But what we can do is interrupt it. So here's a little low-tech experiment that's worth trying. So if you've got a post-it note, I want you to grab a post-it note. And all you're going to do is you're going to place it on your phone screen. What we're going to do is you're going to write a word on that post-it note. So the idea is it's to make you question if you really need to be using your phone right now. So I might write the word intention or why or reason or a question mark. So I think I'm going to go for why. Put why. And I'm going to put that on my phone. So the idea is now that whenever I pick up my phone, I'm going to see that first. And it's going to make me think, why did I just pick up my phone? Do I have a clear reason to use it? And the idea is that if you've got a good reason to be using your phone, then go ahead. But if not, then challenge yourself to put it away for now. Now, it's not going to work forever. It's not going to surprise you every time you look at your phone. The point, though, isn't that it stays on forever. The idea it's just a sort of temporary support. It's like stabilizers on your bike. Its goal is to try and make you increase the awareness of the number of times that you're reaching for your phone unnecessarily throughout the day. It's going to make you reflect on when you're using your phone and is it meaningful for you? Or when isn't it? When are you just grabbing it out of habit rather than actually needing to use your phone? Try this out for a few days and you can email me and Daniel and tell us how you got on. Daniel, there's also some software features that can help us interrupt our habits too.
Yeah. So if that was the low-tech version, here's the high-tech one. So if you want to cut down on the time that you spend in certain apps, you can actually do this using a feature in your phone called app limits. So what app limits does is it keeps track of all the amount of time that you spend in different apps. You've just seen your phone do that already. But what it does is it takes that one step further. It will let you block using a certain app once you've hit your time threshold. So it's just a reminder, you can bypass it by putting in your passcode. However, it's a really useful heads up or a speed bump that you've exceeded your time limit. You've spent more time than you wanted to spend on that app today. So here's how it works.
Okay, let's set an app limit for my phone. So I'm in the settings and I'm going to go into screen time. Once I'm in there, I'm going to choose app limits. Now you can see I've already set up an example app limit. I've set LinkedIn to be 1 hour every day, but let's add another limit. If we go in here, we can see all the different categories, but the easiest way to do it is just to search. So why don't I put a limit on TikTok? Okay, let's add that. Say next. And how many minutes or hours? Let's give myself 30 minutes on TikTok every day. Let's add that. And it's easy as that. So to find app limits, you go to settings, then screen time, app limits, and then add a limit. We've got a similar video for how you can do it on an Android phone.
I'm going to show you how app timers work on Android. So to start off with, you're going to go into your settings and find your digital wellbeing. So for me, I go into my notifications and press the cog. In my settings, I'll go to digital wellbeing and then I'll head to my dashboard. That's where you can see the amount of time you're spending on different apps. Now, at the moment, I can see my most used app today is Twitter and I spent 39 minutes on it. Let's say I want to put a limit of 30 minutes on that. I'm going to click the egg timer next to it. And then I can adjust how much time per day I'm going to allow myself to spend on Twitter. So let's say half an hour. So it's saying app timer set for 30 minutes at the bottom, and the icon's now gone grey. That's because we've already exceeded those 30 minutes. So if I try and open Twitter now, it says, uh-oh, app paused, your timer ran out. It will start again tomorrow. And that's it. If you go into your settings, you can then see that now you've hit that limit. And if you want to get rid of that, press the trash can, and then the timer has been disabled, and then the app will work as normally again.
So at this point, Daniel, where are we?
So we looked at the amount of time that we use a phone. We've answered some questions that have been written by some experts to give us an idea of, are we in the red zone, the yellow zone? Are we feeling digitally zen? So you probably gather some thoughts about your own habits. You could share them with us, or you could just privately think about them. Have you already identified any habits or behaviors that you'd like to change? We're going to be spending the next bit of the workshop talking about some different tools and experiments that you can do to try and change the way that you use your phone. So let's talk about taming those really annoying notifications we get. One of the biggest benefits of a phone is that you can do all of your tasks on it. You can order your shopping. You can watch film trailers. You can make plans to go out for dinner with your pals. You can check your work emails. You can do so much on your phone. However, this isn't necessarily a good thing, because what this means is we are using the same device and we're doing all these different tasks on it. We are context switching. We're moving from activity to activity, and our brains have to keep up and follow up with what it is that we're doing. When we're on our phones, every time you move between apps, you're dramatically changing the context of what it is that you're doing. And psychologists have been researching this in workplaces.
Yeah, they did it in the context of tasks that you would normally do at work. So things like, is it a good thing that when you're on a computer, you can switch between working on a document, preparing a presentation, working on an email, having a video call? These are all different contexts, and they wanted to sort of look at what does that affect, what effect does that have on people? Because in the past, the people were doing this at work, they were probably working in a different way. They'd be reading through their letters in their inbox physically, and then maybe you would go to another room to have a meeting with someone else. You would be doing it all in the one place. And the research that they did was quite interesting.
Yeah, so what they found was that when you are doing this context switching, whether it's in the workplace or on your phone, what it does is it increases the brain production of cortisol. Cortisol is one of the main stress hormones that we've got. And what that does is that slows us down and it makes it more difficult to focus. So if you find it really tiring replying to people all day, or it's really tiring using your phone and doing nothing, well, it's not just you. You're actually working your brain really quite hard. Multitasking doesn't always make us more efficient. In fact, multitasking usually slows us down. So multitasking isn't necessarily a good thing. So it's maybe something that we want to try and disrupt.
Yeah, how can we disrupt that habit of multitasking? So a really good way to do this is to use another feature that's built into our phones called Do Not Disturb. Sometimes it's called focus or focus mode, depending on what type of phone you've got. And Do Not Disturb helps you sort of disrupt that context switching by minimizing the distractions from other apps, especially when you need to focus on something. You can put your phone into focus mode, and when you've got that switched on, you're not going to get all the different notifications popping up. You're not going to be distracted by messages coming in. Or you can say, okay, I want you to only get, or you can allow it to just give you certain messages and alerts from only the apps that you care about.
So let's show you how it works. So I'll show you on an iPhone first. So what you do is you swipe down from the top right of your screen, and that'll take you to your control center. And you'll see a big button that says focus, or it might say do not disturb. And you've got a few options in there. If you've got an Android phone, like on the right, you'll swipe down, bring up your notifications. You might have to swipe down again, but you'll see a button in there again that might say focus. It might say do not disturb, depending on your phone. So we'll show you the different ways in which you can set it up in just a bit, but just to explain why you might find focus and do not disturb and some other things there. These are different modes, and they're going to slightly change the way that your phone works. So if you put your phone into do not disturb mode, this blocks all notifications from coming through. So you're completely undisturbed. It's like being in airplane mode, but you can keep using your apps. You can still use your phone. The next step is work if you've got an iPhone, or it's called focus if you're on Android. What this does is it lets you choose some apps and it will let their notifications come through. So maybe you could say, I want to get notifications from Calendar or Microsoft Teams, Outlook, things like that. Those would still give you notifications, but you're not going to get notifications from maybe things like games or shopping apps. It would cut those ones out. You can customize which app get blocked. And the third mode is sleep or bedtime mode. This is one that I really like. So what this does is it stops pretty much all notifications apart from calls from your favorite contacts. And it also dims your display. It makes it go like a nice orangey red color. Or if you've got an Android phone, it actually puts your phone into black and white. And that makes it much less appealing to pick up and stay on late at night.
A lot of people are worried that maybe they might miss something really important. So maybe they're waiting on a call from a family member or their child's school. And that might put them off using one of these focus modes because they think, well, I'm not going to get alerted about that call. But you don't need to worry about that, because if you can have it set up so that certain contacts can still get through. So that even if you're on one of these focus modes, if someone really needs to get to you, they can get through to you as well. We're going to show you how you can turn that on for a phone as well. But both of these Android phones and iPhones, Daniel, if someone repeatedly calls you, so like if someone phones you a few times, it'll bypass that do not disturb, so your phone is going to ring. So if someone really is needing to get through to you, if they can call twice within a few minutes, you'll still get that phone call. Here's a video from Kieran showing you how he's customized his phone so that his anti-genes calls will always get through to him, even though he's in work mode.
If I want to allow Anti-Gene to call me when I'm at work, head over to Settings and press on Focus. Then I'm going to click on the Work focus for when I'm at work. And now click on the People section, and here are the list of people that are allowed to notify me. So let's click Add and select Anti-Gene. I'm done. And now whenever Anti-Gene calls me in the Work focus, I will still be notified.
So here's a video of me showing you on Android how you can customize what notifications can disturb you when you're on Do Not Disturb.
Okay, let's say you want to use Do Not Disturb, but you want some people to still be able to contact you. Here's how you do it. So you go into your notifications panel, you might have to pull down again, and if I long press on Do Not Disturb, I get some options to say what can interrupt Do Not Disturb. So I can see in the people section, some people can interrupt who. Let's tap on it. And I can see, okay, no one can interrupt me with a message, but starred contacts and repeat callers can interrupt me for a call. If I tap on messages or calls, I then have options in there, so I can say actually any of my contacts can interrupt me, or only starred contacts, or all calls can reach me. And this option at the bottom is a good one. If the same person calls a second time within a 15-minute period, they'll then get through, and I've got that turned on, and that's it.
So when might you use Do Not Disturb? Do you use it already? Leave a message in the chat and tell us when you tend to use this feature, or if you haven't used it before, are you willing to give it a go? Try it out.
Let's talk about something slightly different now. Do you ever find yourself automatically tapping on certain app icons whenever you pick up your phone, even if it's not why you picked up your phone in the first place? Well, I do. And for me, it's Twitter. It's almost muscle memory that when I pick up my phone, I unlock it, I tap the Twitter icon on the bottom right-hand side of my screen. Now, there is a reason why that happens. It might not be obvious, but every feature and color and sound on your smartphone has been designed and optimized by teams of psychologists and designers to keep you coming back for more. Companies want you to use their apps and their websites as much as possible. And there's a few different design patterns that they use to keep you hooked to your phone. So you might recognize some of these features. So the first one is autoplay. So what autoplay is it's a never-ending, tailored set of content that just keeps serving you something new and interesting before you have a chance to turn away. If you don't want to, you swipe, but where does it take you? It takes you to more content. You might recognize this. In fact, Craig, what apps use autoplay? I can see you
Things
nodding.
like, Spotify automatically goes on and plays another song. Netflix, the next show almost starts automatically. And TikTok as well. The minute you open the TikTok app, you're shown the video and it immediately starts playing as well. The next one is the checkpoint. So this is when games or apps have things like milestones or achievements built into them. The idea is that they're trying to give you some sort of urge to keep using the app or use it again and again. So it might be things like leveling up in the app the more you use it, or maybe there's a streak. How many days have you used this app in a row? Can you name any apps that do that, Daniel?
Duolingo definitely does.
Yeah.
It keeps a track of whether you use it every day. And if you don't use it, as you get closer and closer to midnight, the owl gets more and more angry at you, trying to pressure you into opening the app. What else does it? Snapchat does it. So if you have a conversation with someone several days in a row, it brings up a little icon and a counter, and again, if you get towards the end of the day, if you've not spoken to them, it starts telling you that you've not spoken to them. So they're trying to keep you using their app and their service. So yeah, I see that one every day.
Yeah. Although it can be for like what people might consider good apps, like educational apps or like a fitness app as well. It's good to know that this is a technique that can be used, and they use it because they're trying to encourage you to get you using that app more often to make it into a habit. I just think of Facebook, Daniel, as well. Even though I'm very rarely post anything on Facebook nowadays, when I had that app on installed on my phone, I was opening it every day out of that habit of wanting to go in and see it again. The next design patterns, this infinite scroll. A lot of social media apps do this. So this is like an idea where you've got a never ending feed of content. And it's almost like a trance like state you go into where you just keep scrolling and you keep seeing more things. It used to be, if you remember, Daniel, apps like Twitter and Facebook, you could read everything. Like you'd read it all. You'd read everybody's tweets. There was nothing else to see. That's not the case now.
And the last one of these features or design patterns is pull to refresh. So when you want to see new content, you swipe down from the top of the screen and you get a satisfying ping. Sometimes you get a sound effect and an animation. What's that like? It's like using a slot machine. It's that kind of satisfying pull to win and get some more content. Lots of apps use this to refresh. Even the web browser on my phone is pull to refresh nowadays.
And you can see like the direct relationship there. You pull it down, spins round, something's going to happen, and then you're showing something. And then if you don't like what you've seen, what do? You pull it again. So it's that sort of action that is repeated. So it's really interesting that people are using these techniques and habits to try and hook us to using their apps as well. So watch out for some of these things. And when you see them, you'll know, okay, that has been designed that way to make me behave in a certain way towards it. So how could you interrupt that habit? You know, that feeling of closing an app, opening a different app, cycling between 3 or 4 of the same apps, or don't know if you've done this, Daniel, but have you ever like been looking at an app and then you close it because you're bored of it and then you immediately open the same app again?
Yes.
Done that. So how can we break that habit? A really simple thing that you could do is you could hide the app from your home screen. The idea is that you're hiding it. It's not uninstalled from your phone. We're not saying you need to delete it. But if the icon isn't there, then you're not just going to automatically tap on it. You're going to need to search for it on your phone or go to the full list of apps that you've got on your phone. You've not deleted it, you've just hidden it. And it's that sort of little extra step that might stop you from using it automatically. Here's a little video that shows you how you can hide an app on iOS.
And here's how you do it if you've got an Android phone. So just like on an iPhone, what you do is you long press on the app icon. And once you've long pressed it, you're going to drag it somewhere. You're going to drag it towards the top of your screen, probably. Now, you don't want to uninstall it. You just want to remove it. You remove it, it keeps it on your phone, but it means you need to go to your app drawer to find it. And that's it.
So tell us in the comments, name an app that you would hide. What's the one that you automatically open all the time? And actually, even just doing something simple like that, hiding it from your home screen would make you less likely to use it. Okay. Another topic that's affecting people's digital well-being is cybercrime. You'll have seen lots of stories on the news about hackers and people being scammed, people's personal information being stolen. And it is natural to be a bit worried about things like this. Now, this fear can have an effect on people's digital well-being. Maybe it puts people off shopping online, or maybe it makes you much more suspicious of anyone that you encounter, anyone that emails you or messages you. And maybe you know someone who actively avoids using their phone or technology because they're worried about these things. Daniel, what are things that people can do to help them feel safer when they're using their phone?
One of the easiest things that makes one of the biggest differences is applying security updates to your phone. Because if you install updates, That's going to help protect your devices and your accounts from cyber criminals. You should apply updates to your apps and your device as soon as they are available. And that's because these updates include fixes that are going to keep you protected from things like viruses and other kinds of malware. And often there's other improvements and features in there as well. So if you do get a prompt or notification that it's time to install an update or an app, don't ignore it. Installing these updates is one of the most important and quickest things you can do to keep yourself safe on your phone. Now, you could make it even easier for yourself and you could turn on automatic updates. Now, I'd recommend you do this. It's in your phone settings. And what this means is you don't have to even remember to install the updates. It happens for you overnight in the background and it keeps you up to date and safe. Now, there is a point in time when manufacturers stop providing updates for older phones. This usually happens after maybe 3 or 4 years. Now, if you continue to use a phone that isn't supported anymore, it means you're not going to get these updates that contain new features and security patches and performance improvements. And because of that, it means your phone's probably slightly less secure. Now, it doesn't mean you need to keep buying a new phone every year. It doesn't mean you need to buy an expensive phone every year. But if possible, you should maybe avoid buying and using phones that aren't supported. And you can check online to see if your phone is still getting security updates from the manufacturer. But it is usually at least 3 or 4 years these days.
One more thing that you can do to protect the information on your phone is just make sure your phone has a passcode set. So make sure you're using a strong PIN for your phone as well. So not the same PIN that you're using for your cards, because what you don't want is for someone to see you entering your PIN on your phone and maybe then stealing your cards and trying to use that. And I know, Daniel, a lot of people might have banking apps on their phone and sometimes they get you to put in a PIN as well. How many people do you think probably have the same PIN for the phone as they do for their banking apps as well?
I think quite a lot.
Probably quite a lot. So I think, make use of things like fingerprint or face recognition. They're much more secure as well. If you're using your phone, keep it hidden so it's not easy for someone just to sort of look over your shoulder and see what passwords or what codes you're putting into your phone as well. Again, that's another good reason, Daniel, where like face recognition is a good case, because when you say you're in a busy place and you're wanting to use your phone, you're going to hold up your phone and someone might see it.
How many times have you, out of the corner of your eye, spotted someone putting a password into the phone and it's 0000? It happens. Yes. So yeah, choose a strong PIN and use one of these biometric features that means that you don't have to type it in public. It's going to keep you a lot safer.
So let's recap, Daniel.
Yes. So we started off by observing our current habits. We showed you a few different features that are built into your phone that are going to let you observe and view your digital habits. So we looked at screen time and digital well-being. We then spoke about some features built into your phone that are going to help you manage interruptions and distractions. So we spoke about the different do not disturb modes like focus mode and sleep time. We also spoke a bit about ways that you can improve your security and feel more positive about using your device and that you're using it in a safe way. So we spoke about making sure you do your updates and also keeping your phone locked and locking it in a secure way as well.
I hope you found this course really useful and you've picked up even just 1 or 2 tips that you can put into practice. If you want to find out more about our courses, you can go to our website, which is digitalskillseducation.com. You can see our full list of courses that we offer, and you can join our mailing list where we share up-to-date news about resources, events, and other opportunities that you can get involved with. It'd be really great to see you on that as well. Thanks for coming to the course today. Thanks for watching our video, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.